So how can India become a sports star? Answer is very simple. Need a will of the governing system. Now, what is governing system? Political bosses and bureaucracy. If you don't agree with me, you are most welcome to criticize me and tell me which is the third system in the governing system or third factor in the governing system. I consider only two: political bosses and bureaucracy. Now, foremost requirement is the hygiene, health and fitness. So other thing is educational and employment facilities for sportsmen. Now, this is one very important factor. Okay, you have got sportsman, he gives life to the country, but what happened to him after his, there should be some system of rehabilitation where he can earn his living and he can live a peaceful life. Now, building infrastructure, two things are required: indoors, outdoors. Make best use of existing facilities, whatever we have got, create new facilities in the areas wherever required. And that can only be possible if we do the balancing of the infrastructure, not that all infrastructure is created at one place, say in Delhi or in Bangalore or in Hyderabad. Why not go to the other areas, between rural areas and urban areas? This is one word, balancing. I love this word because if we keep a balance, everything is absolutely right. Now, rural areas, select, as I told you last time, and now I'm again repeating, select revenue villages as nodal points, having approach to 8 to 10 small villages and hamlets at almost equidistance around this point with a distance of 5 to 8 kilometers. It is like developing a town with various wards. Now create sports facilities there at nodal point for outdoor games. No need of doing for indoor games because indoor games can be done in other areas, but outdoor, this will be the best place. Now, what are outdoor games? Hockey, volleyball, football, shooting, athletics, basketball, volleyball, and cycling. Indoor games, wrestling, weightlifting, gymnastics, boxing, squash, table tennis. How? Catch children young at the age of 20 years. Now, I have just said, okay, now a child or a person at the age of 18, 19, 20, he becomes and goes for, for his country to bring some medals. What will happen? He may be only for another 10, 15 years. After that, he has to retire because he will not be able to take part because of his age, because of his other circumstances. So responsibility given to the states. Now, this is what solution I have found is, okay, each state should be given responsibility that you have to attend games, like say hockey, if they give it to Punjab or Odisha or other states, and same way football in the northeastern states. So there should be some case studies here. It's a very interesting thing I wanted to share with you. Balbir Singh Senior, Rani Rampal, Neeraj Chopra, Sindhu from Hyderabad. Now Balbir Singh, about, I don't know how many of you know, he used to come from village to his school or college, and he didn't have the ball.
बेटा वेबिनार अटेंड कर रहा था मेरे को
खेलते and that too not with a hockey stick,
यार हैदराबाद बेंगलोर लगे हुए
and he used to play all route and come. So this is how, and Rani Rampal's story you have read. Very much interesting. Now present institutions are government and private. Now here I would like to give you an example. Government, Sports University Northeast, they have established in Manipur. Then Netaji Subhash National Institute of Sports, Patiala. It's for a long time. And there are many more institutions like that, but private is the louder.
No, but you generally ask in terms of the rural areas to be upgraded, in terms of developing infrastructure there and promoting people from there, and this could probably add to our efforts. But if you look at all these sports people, you will find that 99.9% are from the rural side only. None of them, if you talk about the Rani Rampals or the Manpreet Singhs or even Neeraj Chopra or Dahiya or anybody, I don't know much about PV Sindhu, but then other than her, I believe all of them have always been coming from rural. You would find very few urban, having risen to a podium ever. And that there lies the problem, sir. It has never been a priority in this country. Sports has always been I have been all my life, and I have seen that more often than not, it has been taken as a step towards a permanent job first.
Good evening, gentlemen. What we are aiming is to make India into super sports nation, which is a very high call. Just winning 6, 7 medal is not going to be enough. China is number one most populated country of the world, and where it is and where we are. In case we want to put ourselves into the league of China or one among the top 5 nations of the world, let us say, we have to do something more than just what Orissa has done, or if any. Orissa must have done better, but it's not enough to get into the top league. That is what my first statement would be. I would broadly like to suggest 5 steps which will make India into super sports power. What is the topic for today? The first thing is, it is the quantity which gets the quality. Like, for instance, it is well known to us that India is very well known across the globe. We give the largest number of educated manpower in the world. Our doctors are there doing in UK. We have got engineers, software engineers in USA. Our technical manpower there is in Middle East. Today, we are the largest educated manpower provider of the world, because in India, every family want to educate their children. That is an aspiration. However, we could do much better, but still we are producing the largest educated manpower. Same way, we have to produce a very large number of sports people in the world. India has to produce a large number of sports people. We need a sporting culture. Like we have got a culture for spirituality. Indians are very fond of religion. Religion is very much part of our life. Similarly, family values. We have got high amount of family values. Same way, we produce large number of engineers and doctors, large number of technical manpower. Same way, we have to produce large number of sports people, for which we need to have a sporting culture. The first point what I want to make is that we need to build a sporting culture for our country. Then how do we do it? That is point number 2. For me, sports should be made compulsory part of education. Because leave apart from the fact that to win medal, sports mean better health, sports mean better team spirit, it produces better interpersonal skills, it gives better character to the man, which we want to inculcate in our every citizen. So why not make sports compulsory for the whole education system? Everybody has to go through the education and through the sports. We can have number of sports festival across the year, and we can make the life of a sportsman easy by giving him better employment opportunities. This will bring about a revolution. Lots of people in India will be participating into sports. That will be the starting point. That is number 2. Point number 3, we need to have lot of facilities like
Got it.
stadiums. I like to give one example, that Belgium, who defeated us this year in the hockey, they became ultimate champion also. They defeated us in the final. They took the hockey gold medal also. They have got much more sports hockey turf than all India. And Belgium is not bigger than Hyderabad in population, I mean. But even area is not big. But it is having more astroturf than whole of India is having. So much facility they are having. So facilities don't only mean physical. On one side, they mean physical facility like stadiums, like sporting equipment. On other side, it also means coaches. That is the manpower part of it. Then we need lots of coaches. Right starting from a mahalla, to school, up to state and to the national level. This itself will create a lot of employment opportunity also for sports people, having so many coaches. So combination of physical facility and manpower will take part of point number 3, which I'm making, that is to have sufficient sporting facilities for the sportsmen who will be making. I'm not going into the general administrative side of it. I'm making just points which are needing to be done. How it has to be done is a separate point. Broadly, that will be point number 3. Point number 4, every sports needs lots of financial support like sponsorship, tournaments, TV rights. It is number 1, it provides better facility for sportsmen. Number 2, it creates interest among general public for the game when there are lots of tournaments, lot of things like IPL. Today, IPL is the richest organized or richest body in the world. IPL has become a very big event. It's not called sports, it is called entertainment event. Similarly, nowadays in India, corporate sector, cricket is ultimate, but even our other games have gained a lot last few years. Like hockey is having one league, football is having, kabaddi is having, and so is badminton is having. So this is gradually, it is proving that our private sector is quite strong enough to give that support which is needed by the private sector. All we need is government has to give them sufficient incentives so that they come forward to organize. This financial environment is very important if our sports has to come to the top level. Just at the first 2 parts which I mentioned, one was making sports compulsory, that was at base level. But when we come to the higher level, then we need an financial environment to create a very successful taking our sports to the top level, where we produce sufficient number of sportsmen which are of the international level. We need to produce them in sufficient number. It's not just enough to produce one Sindhu or few our Balbir Singh. This year we had lots of sports people like Chopra, Neeraj Chopra. We need many of them. Then only we can come to the international level. Then only we can get that potential sports power status. Then point number 5, which is ultimate. When a sportsman reaches very, very top level, let us say among the top 10 or 20%, then they need a lot of special facilities. They have to get coaching from the best coach of the world. They need to compete in a lot of tournaments of the international level. They need a sustained support both from government, corporate sector. In our country, apart from corporate sector, our defense, our railways, our a lot of public sector units, banks, they have been doing it. And we can add many more corporates who will be supporting such a thing. If these 5 steps are taken, in my view, we definitely can become a sporting superpower. Not 7. I think we should be definitely not getting less than 25 medals at least to begin with. In case we go through it, it needs determination right from state level, because states are very important, because in our country, most of the responsibility lies with state government. National responsibility of national level is only to support the whole movement. But it must start from the basic level, where sports is made a compulsory part of education. We must become a healthy nation. That, of course, Brigadier Sahab also said same thing, that fitness is very important. And fitness is not important only to compete at international level. We must all become healthy citizens. Thereby, we can contribute more to the national progress as well as to ourselves. This is what I will conclude my talk. Thank you so much.
No, I just wanted to share with you, in Singapore, there used to be a hockey team called Khalsa Sporting Institute. You have heard about that? They used to play very good hockey and they used to win a lot of medals. there was one Sikh gentleman who went to Singapore. He bought a big plot of land, created this infrastructure, and started training these young Sikhs, and they become very good hockey players, and they used to play very good hockey and used to win medals. Then I asked them, they completely changed. And so again, you have to see rural areas where plenty of land is there, plenty of people are there. So a lot can be done. Infrastructure has to, we can talk about Belgium, we can talk about Singapore, we can talk of any other countries, but our country being, how much population is rural areas and how much population is urban areas, what facilities we can give to the rural areas and what facilities are available in urban areas. This balancing act has to be done. Any other?
If Brigadier Sahab has completed, then we can request SP Singh ji to take forward and or Colonel Sahab to take it forward.
I only want to say one word. Can I say?
You can kindly, please tell. Anyway, no problem. Please say.
See, Naveen Patnaik's mother name is Gyan Kaur.
Yes.
That is the link with Punjab.
Thank you, Sanjay Sahab.
Okay.
Thank
SP
you.
Singh ji, let us.
Yeah, yes, certainly, sir. Mrs. Gyan Kaur's link should certainly be a use factor in Naveen Patnaik's, supporting hockey like no other CM. And many of us may not be knowing, but they have already hosted one World Cup hockey, and they are going to host another in the next couple of months. And they are the only sponsor of both the Indian men's and women's hockey team. And they have actually adopted them after Sahara went into problem and there was nobody taking care of them. So Naveen Patnaik has actually made Bhubaneswar, and for that matter, Odisha, a sports capital of India, if I could say so, because the results are there to see. Actually, the results have been astounding in the sense that after decades, India could win a medal in men's hockey, and in women's hockey, we were very close to creating history, but maybe the next time we'll certainly make it. Now, taking it from what Brigadier Ahuja has said and Sardar Kuldeep Singh ji has also said, I think if you want to make a country a sports superpower, it has to be a combined effort from many directions. And the best directions, they can only come from, as Brigaders have said, from the politicians of the day or the bureaucrats of the day. Now, the government has minimalistic role. If I could say, the central government straight away doesn't have any role in sports because sports happens to be a state subject. So my first submission is that sports should be upgraded as at least a concurrent subject so that central government is obliged to spend more time and give more concentration on sports. Why sports are important? Sports are important for two reasons. One is, as we have already discussed, it gives you a healthy body and a healthy person, certainly. And when you go and play, you develop that team spirit and you develop that character of even, accepting defeats at time. And that makes you a wonderful person. And we have normally seen the sports people are normally, fun-loving, reliable, and maybe healthier than others. But more than that, I think in your country, it is a very benign and a very sweet war, if I could say so, between nations. The hockey, field or the football field. I think this, the the tendency of countries to score over others actually is a brilliant way of showcasing their training and their prowess in terms of how well they have taken up sport. So this therefore gives a wonderful standing to a nation also, and therefore we are normally concerned about who stands where on medal tally and stuff like that. So we presently, despite our 7 medals, we still ended up at 48th in the medals tally. And if we look at the tally in terms of the number of medals won, then maybe we were at 33rd. But as both of you have already said, this needs to be improved. And the government actually of the day had in the year 2018 had declared that their policy remains to be amongst the top 10 by 2028 Olympics, which is only one Olympic away now. So we have our 2024 Olympics at Paris, and the next one, the government is committed to be taking India to top 10. And I think that is not too optimistic. In case things fall in place, maybe we can certainly give it a very, very serious try, and maybe we could be amongst the top 10. Now, how can we get there? The basic 2-3 things that come to my mind is, sports is a very specialized area. The way medicine is, the way chartered accountancy is, you can't have a non-medico heading Medical Association of India. You can't have a non-chartered accountant heading the Chartered Accountant Association of India. But sadly, you can have most of our federations being headed by people who have never played that game, or for that matter, any game ever. And at the same time, we have had a series of ministers right from, the 50s, the 1950s, that, you need to have somebody, a specialist in place, first of all, at the political level, which means we just had this gentleman, Rajyavardhan Rathod. Fortunately, he was the only person who was the best fit in the last 75 years to be a sports minister. But then God knows what made people move him. And so the point is, it has to be a top priority of the government that a sports minister has to be somebody who has got something to do with sports, maybe as a player himself or as a senior administrator of some standing, and he knows his business, number one. Number two is, he has to be given a fair amount of tenure. You can't become a superpower in any arena if the top person there gets rotated like, any indiscreet department. We have had the 5th sports minister in the last 7 years. I know all the names and all that. So we have been changing our sports minister after every 1.5 to 2 years. So I don't think that is a very healthy way of doing it. Secondly, all our federations, there has to be a central law. If you can recall, in cricket, when there were a lot of allegations about corruption, etc., the Supreme Court intervened. There was a Justice Lodha committee which has been overseeing everything. And still we find that in cricket, which gets the maximum money, it is chance that Sourav Ganguly is heading BCCI. Sourav has been a brilliant cricketer. But under him, you take any name, they are all politicians. One is Anurag Thakur's younger brother, the other is Amit Shah's son, and the fourth one is also related to one of the politicians. Similarly, you come to Indian Olympic Association, there is one Narinder Batra, probably, I don't know what connection he has with sports. You come to Wrestling Federation, there is some Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who is a BJP MP. You come to Rifle Association, where Amrinder Singh's son happens to be the president. So these guys have actually, and they're all politicians with very little probably exposure to sports. Why can't we have the Kapil Devs of the world, or for that matter, Balbir Singhs of the world, though he's no more now. But these guys, or maybe when Milkha Singh was alive, why would we not have Milkha Singh at the helm of the best of the federations that exist in India? I think they are the guys who probably can give the right direction. And they can also probably advise the government in terms of the coaching to be given, the tournaments to go and participate and all that. So this is one area where I wanted everybody's concentration in terms of how it can be When it comes to the bureaucrats and all, we don't need to discuss too much, because bureaucrats as such is a term which is quite unpopular. But anyways, he remains where he is. But if he gets a great political lead, I think things can certainly improve, because we can't change bureaucrats in the next 10, 12 years, but we can certainly have a better minister too. And even amongst the bureaucrats, we can certainly have some people who would have some background in sports, because many bureaucrats would have also been good players, or maybe active players also in many cases. Other than that, remains, because money matters the most. And in 2017, in one of the parliamentary debates, Rajyavardhan Rathod made a remark that India spends 3 paise per person per day on sports. This is compared to this, China spends 6 rupees per day per person on sports. So that gives them more than a 200%, So I do not mean saying that we should spend a lot of money at the cost of, say, education or health or other important aspects. But since expenditure on sports does not only get us a few more medals, but more than that, as we have all been discussing, it improves the sporting culture in the country, which in the longer run can actually prove to be a great force multiplier in whatever we do. And therefore, this expenditure needs to be increased, and increased in a very, very rational way, so that it gives us great. And as Kuldeep Singh ji mentioned, and these some of these good things have already taken place in India. For example, during Rajyavardhan's time, he started with the Khelo India initiative, which is nothing but say it is the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan in the sports parlance. So it was like reaching out to schools at the junior most level and bringing school children to the playgrounds. So Khelo India, I think, can be the key to bringing that sporting culture in our country. This will require 2 things: more funding, and at the same time, better people managing it. Now, more funding, when we say, unfortunately, for whatever reasons, but this very year, which is the Olympic year, we saw in our budget the sports budget being slashed by 229 crores, which certainly is not a very encouraging thing to happen. But maybe because of COVID or some other constraints, government thought about it. But maybe spending more on sport can certainly take it. Another very important thing that comes to my mind is that hosting big tournaments can make a lot of difference. And although India is fighting with a lot of other problems, and it may not be possible to raise world level, infrastructure, we have already hosted 2 Asiads, the first one and the 1982 one. We have already hosted a Commonwealth Games in 2010. I think why I'm saying this is because if you look at the statistics, you'll find that most of the times the host country leapfrogs, in terms of the medals won by it, because of the environment generated. You look at Greece, when the Olympic happened in Athens, Greece, which was nowhere in medal tally, suddenly found itself jumping quite high. Similarly, the London Olympics, Beijing was already doing well, and we have already seen what Tokyo did for Japan. So I think hosting can be another area. So I think my time should be over now. But what I want to sum up saying is that for a sporting culture to come to India, we need somebody with good standing to be given reins of the sports ministry, with an assurance that he or she would be given good time to develop that. He should develop more Naveen Patnayaks in India, and it can be very easily done, if one sports minister reaches out to few centers of excellence, be it states like Haryana or Punjab. Even in these times, they are supplying about more than 35% of the people who went to Olympics. So these are the places where I think the chief ministers of the present times, or whenever they be there, they can add a lot of value to what our efforts could be. So I would like to now request Colonel PV Singh to kindly take it forward.
I would like to share two very interesting things which will be of great importance. You know, Punjab, before this Congress party, the Akalis won election second time.
Sir, I would
Everybody
like
asked
to
the
remind
question,
you
how
that,
did they win? Because,
excuse
just
me.
one second.
No, the time is going to get over now. In 10 minutes only, final.
Okay. But this is a very interesting thing that how a political party went for the sports of Kabaddi in Punjab, they won the election.
But 5 minutes बाद बोला मैंने.
I'd be very happy if you maintain the time.
But let's complete. हाँ जी, कर्नल साहब.
हाँ जी. Okay. A lot of good points have been projected by all the speakers. I want to re-emphasize on the points already brought out by many speakers, that is the sporting culture. Sporting culture, they have given their own. Somebody has said that minister should be a sportsman, he should continue. Yes, that's a very valid point. I also want to say, for making our country a sporting, having a sports culture here, it should start with the schooling. In the schools, in the curriculum, sports should be a compulsory subject. Like I was in academy, we were students only. We were students of a different thing. But every day in the evening, we had to play sports, which had nothing to do with our professional learning. This made us better human beings. This improved our qualities. It made us better citizens. Not that we won medals for the country, but it added qualities in individuals, in upcoming younger lot. So my take is that every school, in the school curriculum as a education policy, the sports should be an important subject. And I remember when I was in school, it was a government school, and we had so many school tournaments, so many activities. In those days, I'm talking of 60s, which I fail to see even in best of the schools. And children are so busy in their studies that they have no time for. Everything is for getting 90, 95, 98% marks in the exam, and sports takes a backseat. So by building a sport culture at the school level, you are building better citizens, healthier citizens, and interest of that generation in the sports. And when they come up in life, in any profession, they will work for getting India at a higher level in international sports arena. That is my one point. Second thing is, our process of selection of sports people for who are going to represent us at the international level should be very fair, based on the capability of the sports person. There may be 50 people who are capable to join a team, hockey team, but unfortunately at times, nepotism, favoritism, pulls and pushes. I'm not saying only hockey, most of the other thing.
May I just remind you, only 5 minutes are left now. And then we'll be reviewing after 5 minutes.
Then one more point which I want to say, that we as Indians, we have special expertise in few sports disciplines where we can hope to get more medals, and the authorities who are controlling these are like archery, where our tribesmen are very good. Given little more facilities and coaching, they can do wonders. Hockey, all over India, you will find players, especially Punjab and North India. Then you have wrestlers, wrestling, another arena, boxing, badminton, of course, golf, Also, I say sailing, where we have facilities and also lot of talent in our country, which can be refined and we can hope to win medals. Also shooting, table tennis, weightlifting. These are the few disciplines which I feel where we should focus ourselves and where we can get many, many more medals. And to conclude my point, my talk, I'll say that management of sports is another arena, and I support points given earlier that in the sports federations, sports bodies, they should never be headed either by a politician or a retired bureaucrat, because they have their own way of functioning. They have their own. They should always be a sports personality heading them, who has been in various disciplines, who have won medals or not won medals, who have played sports, who have excelled themselves. They should only be there in the sports bodies. Thank you. More time to me?
No, I think Brigadier Sahab can conclude, or we can do it after renewal also. Just 2 minutes are left, 2.5 minutes are left. Can we renew it at then time? After 2.5 minutes, after another few minutes, you can all rejoin. Okay? And then Brigadier Sahab can give the conclusion. I think meanwhile we'll get the time to prepare the conclusion also. Brigadier Sahab. So we'll disconnect now and we'll connect again. Okay?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I thought you want me to speak.
That conclusion you have to give a
no,
conclusion.
One thing, excellent points. I'm giving conclusion only.
Okay.
Very good points have been brought out. SP Singh and PP Singh. I'm really very happy. Even some of the points I might have missed also. But main thing is that unless we create certain organization, certain systems, nothing is possible. As about the schools which PP Singh was telling, there are hardly any schools with proper playgrounds. I'm talking about Hyderabad. They are functioning even universities are functioning in flats, in houses. So that is where governance is required. My only, I will only say, unless we improve in our governance, nothing is possible. It is the governance which really works for us, and we have to work for the governance, provided both are on the same page, but we are not. This is my conclusion. Thank you very much.
I would just like to add 2 points only. One is that while I would believe state and central government for the basic infrastructure at schooling and at the stadium level, the higher education endeavor must be taken by the corporate sector, not by the government. Usually government is never the best organization which can create a healthy way of growth of source, but they can do it at elementary level, so that every school, every mahalla, there is enough sufficient infrastructure available, sufficient number of coaches are available, so that at school level the government has to directly invest not only in terms of money but also in terms of organizing it. So while at basic infrastructure level, state and central government should be organizing themselves. Let the at higher level, that is at the tournament level, as well as different organization like IPL, building different organizing committee, that should be financed by the corporate sector. By the public sector is already doing it. Railways, defense, there can be there can be different bodies looking after these sort of things, which will bring excellence. Government cannot directly intervene in these things. They can never build international level of sports people, because they'll be shackled by political concentration and bureaucratic wrangling. This was what I can only 2 points which I could add from my point.
If we have time, I want to add 1 or 2 more points.
Yeah, please do it.
Okay. I also want to say that our selection of potential players in the international arena is very late. And generally when they start getting coaching is they are about 18 to 20 years, expert coaching 18 to 20 years of age, which is I think quite late. There is no dearth of talent in India for sports. In the villages, in the at the ground level, as you have also seen from the medals tally for the sportsmen who won medal, they are all from villages, all from very poor background, most of them, barring one or two. And only thing required is to select this talent at young age, groom them, coach them, refine them. I am sure, I am very certain they can do wonders. Catch them young, groom them, refine them, train them, and give them the best of coaching. And second thing I want to say is that another problem why in India people don't, youngsters don't come for the sports, because they are choosing a career which can give them a livelihood on which they can. So sports is a very short tenure. You are at 30 or 32, you have to retire. After that, how they carry on with the life. So my take is that sportsmen who do well at national level or even at state level, we should have some vacancies in the government jobs for them. Other than we are having on caste basis and other things, but if there are vacancies kept for them, there will be an incentive that let me do well, I will get a government job. He may not go to international level, he may not, but it will build up, it will bring up more talent into the sports, and you have more choice to pick up for your international competitions. Then about the management of sports. Of course, budgets are low, and already brought out that corporate sectors should sport, they will sport if the policies and the control of the government is minimized. At the moment, the government, it is too much controlled by the government. For that matter, that most of the sports bodies are headed either by politicians or by retired bureaucrats. And that is one of the main cause of whatever I can say, the ills in the sports in India. Yeah, I have to give you one example. Indian hockey was at top. It was till you see 64 was the last time we won gold medal. Gradually decline came, and I'll give you an example, so some people may not agree with me. In 1995 or 6, one gentleman, a retired policeman, to adjust somewhere, he was made head of the Indian Hockey Federation. And in his 14 years of chairmanship of Indian Hockey Federation, he brought the Indian hockey to its nadir. Such a pass that in 2008 Olympics, our team could not even qualify for the Olympics. And this gentleman had to be just removed. For that, what they did, they only closed Indian hockey, they formed Hockey India. And again, after that, the Indian hockey started. I was giving you one example. The bureaucrats heading these sports bodies is a problem, because these people have a lot of egos, and they are not the sportsmen, and neither do they have sportsman spirit. So in my opinion, the sports councils or sports bodies should be autonomous, and these autonomous bodies and they should be headed by people who have been in various disciplines. You can always find who have excelled in sports. They can respect the sport. You can find for like, or okay. So politicians and bureaucrats should be not only avoided, should be totally barred. So, and I already brought out some disciplines of sports where India can excel, where the Indians, as Indians, we have better aptitude because of our various aptitudes which we have, talents we have. I had already listed, I will say it again: archery, hockey, then your weightlifting, boxing, badminton, shooting. Already we have won medals in this. We can also add golf, where we missed a medal by a whisker this time. 4th position we got. Sailing is another this thing. Indian sailing teams have excelled at the international arena. We can do very well in sailing. Table tennis we can do, weightlifting we can do. So these are the few disciplines on which we should focus maximum, and they will get us at least 25, like Gurdeep Singh ji was saying, 25 medals. These are enough. Like if there are few disciplines like swimming and all, that is not for us, where so many countries. And also one point I also want to say, it is not the population which will this thing. We have lot of talent even in the large population, but if you see, Australia has only 2.5 crore people, and they are at 5th point in the, they are 5th in the medals tally. So if the things are taken in the right way, I don't think the population, small population, Belgium has only 1 crore population. They are 7th or 8th. And these are the few things I wanted to say.
May I just intervene to say that Australia has got a big sporting culture. Anyway, Juneja Sahib and Bakshi ji, would you like to say something before Brigadier Sahib takes over? कुछ बोलर के जुनेजा जी या बख्शी जी, तुसी कुछ, you will like to state something?
ठीक चल रहा, ठीक है, good points discussed, अच्छे point discuss हुए, होने चाहिए ना, गौर होना चाहिए, we should take care of them.
Thank you sir, thank you so much that you have come and you inspire us. Bakshi ji is a great lover of sports. But Brigadier Sahib, I think now you have got a lot of points. I think you should make a list and forward to the group.
मैं तोनू हुने दसना चाहना कि I'll prepare whatever the points have come up. We must send to the government. There is a proper, place where we can send them, and if they can implement nothing like that, otherwise we have done our job in the interest of the country. We are all nationalists. So this is my suggestion, that whatever we do, whatever we discuss, we must send it to the government, because ultimately they have to decide. And one very interesting point has come about how a person can ruin. This hockey federation was ruined by one man.
I know, you are referring to KPS Gill, I think so.
This is the main problem. And our, social...
I didn't want to name him, but you have done it.
No, I'm very happy, Parminder, you have said how a person can ruin, and nobody bothered for 15 years. He was continuing that. Definitely. So we'll conclude here, and let us prepare a report, and I'll circulate through this and then send it to the government, and something will come up. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Have a nice evening. But I would like to receive your comments, suggestions on this nodal village, instead of creating infrastructure. To keep a balance between the rural and urban, this is very much required. If you agree, if you don't agree, if you have got alternative suggestions, I'll be very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you very much. Sat Sri Akal.
Thank you.
Yes, right.